Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a framework from leadership expert Bill George that, frankly, has never felt more critical. We're going to break down his 7 essential lessons for steering the ship through leadership's toughest test, a full-blown crisis.
You've probably heard this one before, right? And for a very good reason. It's this powerful idea that real leadership isn't forged when everything's going great. Nope. It's built in the middle of the storm when the stakes are absolutely through the roof. Crises aren't just something to be avoided. They are the very things that define who you are as a leader.
And that's the real question, isn't it? Because when that crisis hits, and believe me, it will, everyone is going to be looking at you. So what do? What's the playbook for leading when it truly matters most? Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. It's really a 4-part journey. First, we'll talk about diagnosing the reality of the situation. Then we'll shift gears to surviving, and more importantly, transforming. After that, we'll cover how you actually lead your team to win. And we'll wrap up by talking about how all of this becomes your defining moment. First up, diagnosing the reality. Before you can even think about leading other people, you have to look in the mirror. You have to get brutally honest about what the problem really is, and what part you played in it.
All right, this slide really gets to the heart of it. It's about a fundamental choice. On one side, you've got denial. Think about Merck with their drug Vioxx. For years, they kind of pushed back on evidence of risks until a huge study forced their hand, costing them billions. But then you look at the other side, ownership. When Amgen faced safety issues, CEO Kevin Scher literally started a meeting by listing his own mistakes. Can you imagine? His team was floored, but it instantly gave them the freedom to look at their own roles and actually solve the problem. The bottom line is simple. Denial paralyzes you, but ownership empowers your entire team.
Lesson 2 is a huge warning against playing the hero. It's so tempting for leaders in a crisis to just lock themselves in their office and try to solve everything alone. They become Atlas, trying to hold the whole world up. But that isolation, it's incredibly dangerous. Rumors start to fly, your team feels lost, and you just completely burn out.
And this right here, this is the alternative. Tad Piper, who is the CEO of Piper Jaffray, was staring down potential bankruptcy. So what did he do? He didn't hide. He got his leaders in a room and shared everything. His fears, his struggles, even his past personal battles. He chose to be vulnerable. And the result was incredible. His entire team rallied around him stronger than ever. So you see, sharing the burden isn't a sign of weakness, it's how you build an army.
This idea of being honest leads us straight into lesson number 3. You have to resist the urge to just treat the symptoms. When you're in a panic, it is so easy to just jump on the first problem you see. But that's usually just the tip of the iceberg, right? It's a symptom of something much bigger and way more dangerous hiding below the surface. A quick fix might feel good in the moment, but it just lets the real problem grow.
Just look at this number. This is what we're talking about. When Bill George took over a division at Honeywell, he was told there were about $25 million in cost overruns. Okay, a big problem, for sure, but maybe manageable. But he didn't stop there. He kept digging. 3 months later, the real number came out, a jaw-dropping $450 million. That initial report wasn't just the tip of the iceberg. It was barely a snowflake on top. You have to keep digging.
Okay, so once you've diagnosed what's really going on, the game changes. We move into phase 2, survive and transform. And this is such a critical mindset shift. This isn't just about plugging holes in the boat. It's about finding the hidden opportunity inside the danger itself.
Lesson 4 is just the cold, hard truth of it all. In a crisis, forget all the fancy metrics. Earnings, revenue, market share, none of it matters if you can't make payroll next month. Cash is king. The single most important question you can ask is, do we have enough cash to survive the absolute worst-case scenario? If the answer is no, then that becomes your one and only priority.
Now, once you know you're going to survive, you can focus on lesson 5, never, ever waste a good crisis. The Chinese character for crisis is made up of 2 symbols. One means danger, the other means opportunity. And that's exactly right. The intense pressure of a crisis just shatters old ways of thinking. It breaks down resistance to change, and it gives you this rare chance to make huge, bold moves that would be totally impossible in normal times.
And here you can see a tale of 2 giants who faced this very choice. For decades, General Motors just weathered every storm. Oil shocks, foreign competition, like they were temporary problems. They never made the deep, fundamental changes they needed to. And the result? Bankruptcy. Now compare that to IBM in the 90s. They were on the brink of collapse. But Lou Gerstner didn't just try to survive. He used that crisis to totally reinvent the company, shifting from hardware to services, and in doing so, saving an American icon.
So let's move into our third and final phase of action, leading to win. You've figured out the problem, you've battened down the hatches to survive. So now, how do you act to make sure you come out of this stronger than ever? Because trust me, everyone is watching your every move.
Lesson 6 is all about what you do in that spotlight. Back in 2007, when lead paint was found in Mattel toys, the CEO went public and blamed the Chinese suppliers. It completely backfired and hammered the company's reputation. Now contrast that with JetBlue's meltdown that same year. The founder, David Neeleman, went on TV, apologized from the heart, took full responsibility, and rolled out a new customer bill of rights. He ended up losing his CEO job over it, but he absolutely saved the company's reputation.
And finally, we have lesson 7. And this is where you flip the switch from playing defense to playing offense. This is about winning. While all your competitors are hunkering down, you push forward. First, rethink your entire strategy. The world just changed, so what are your customers going to need now? Second, reshape the market. Use that new insight to bend the industry to your strengths. Third, invest while everyone else is scared. This is the time to pour money into new tech or snap up top talent. And finally, you have to execute with absolute rigor. This is how you don't just survive a crisis, this is how you come out the other side a leader.
So, let's bring this all together. What does this all mean for you? Well, these lessons, they aren't just theories in a book. They're about how you will act in what could very well be the single most defining moment of your entire career. I love this quote because it just nails it. A crisis makes people freeze. They're paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. But the second you commit to a bold course of action, everything changes. Leading in a crisis isn't about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to just begin.
Because here's the thing, a crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it. It shows the world and it shows you who you really are. So when that inevitable storm finally hits and every single eye in the room turns to you, what will they see? What are you going to do? That choice? That's your defining moment.